Now we go to something that's actually up, despite the market's decline, and it's DoorDash. The stock is soaring this morning. Company reported an unbelievable quarter, nearly $5 billion in sales. But the main thing is up 69% inflation. The main thing is that this is a company that actually got stronger coming out of the pandemic, which is amazing since so many haven't. CEO Tony Xu joins us now. What a break here. Tony, an amazing quarter. And I love the way you started your letter. You did not talk about those numbers I just mentioned. DoorDash's mission is to grow and empower local economies. Tell us about that, because people feel DoorDash's mission is to bring you food at the door.
Well, good morning, Jim. Certainly, we're recognized for lunch and dinner. I mean, as evidenced by our 25 million, record high monthly active consumers shopping with us at the highest frequencies we've ever seen, pre or, post or during pandemic. But really our goal, from day one is really just to do two things to transform local commerce. Build the largest local commerce app where we can bring the greatest amount of incremental demand to everybody inside the neighborhood. And secondly, teach these merchants, the small, medium, and large physical businesses, how to become digital powerhouses in their own right. And I think if we can achieve both of those goals, we'll achieve the goal of transforming local commerce and making sure that every business in the neighborhood can continue to be successful in any economy, certainly the digital economy.
Well, let's talk about an economy that was shut down. It is true that DoorDash takes its pound of flesh, so to speak. They have to make money. But I think what's really important is, can you tell us how many restaurants you think you kept alive during the period when you weren't allowed to have people in your restaurant?
We had a great privilege, really, a front row seat into seeing our mission realized every single hour during the pandemic. And, you're right. From March 2020 to even to this day, restaurants have really struggled to make sure that they can continue to compete. That's why we're so proud of the fact that we not only serve 550,000 merchants now, but that their same-store sales growth, even in 2021, coming out of the pandemic, has grown 23% year on year. And so our goal is to just continuously bring them more and more sales at higher and higher profits.
One of the things I think people don't realize, particularly in New York, because we're so New York-centric, the coverage you now have in the country, it's everywhere. Can I get from you some sort of analogy that would talk about the coverage in the United States and what you're offering?
Yeah, DoorDash has come certainly a long way in the 8.5 years since we started, and today we certainly cover places like Manhattan or Chicago, San Francisco, these great big cities that sustain us here in the United States. But we also cover a lot of towns like where I grew up in the middle of the country. And, I think if you were to think of an analogy, we're as ubiquitous as the Postal Service. In fact, we cover, more zip codes than even the Postal Service does. And so that's something that we continue to aspire to want to create because, as much as DoorDash has grown, we still recognize that our business is a hyper-local business, which means that every neighborhood can and should be successful. After all, it's the physical businesses that produce the vast majority of GDP in most cities. And that's why, we work so hard every day to make sure that all of these businesses can be successful and all of these communities will flourish.
Hey, Tony, I wonder if you can characterize the white space between restaurant and grocery, because there remains this lingering worry on the street that given the historical margins in the grocery business, there are questions as to how long those customers can afford to pay fees that maybe restaurants can.
Yeah, during the pandemic, we launched several new businesses, one of which was grocery, another of which was convenience items delivery, as well as our increased expansion into other categories, whether it be pet food or alcohol, as well as other categories of local retail. And what we've seen in each one of these categories is just tremendous demand. Now, 14% of our monthly active consumers, so millions of customers every single month, are trying these categories. So what we're seeing right now is that there is actual demand, just like, as people are going back inside stores, there's still the complementary activity of shopping online and getting things delivered, especially when, they can get that convenience during the middle of the week. And in terms of the business model, we're actually seeing, great results in terms of where we are right now. The focus is certainly on building the best product, making sure that we get the right selection, the right inventory, the highest quality delivery experience and the best customer support. And we believe that the business model will come just like we've demonstrated that in our core restaurants category.